Welcome to VatorBox. I'm Bambi Francisco, and I'm excited to say that Chris Shipley joins me as our guest host for VatorBox. Many in Silicon Valley know Chris. She's had a lot of influence over tech startups. One writer actually referred to Chris as the woman with the Midas touch. So Chris, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you for joining us. And of course, Ezra Roizen is our digital media investment banker, VatorBox regular. He joins us today as well. Today we're going to take a look at Kosmix. This is a new sort of search engine. It's a guide to the web. I call it a Wikipedia meets answers meets search, as well as a well-crafted magazine. So let's listen to Venki give his pitch.
Kosmix in one word is explore. We have created a new navigation paradigm on the web which helps you browse, explore, and discover information about any topic by aggregating information across the web and presenting it to you in an easy-to-use and easy-to-explore fashion. We've proved our model with a health property called Right Health, which lets people explore, their condition or their drugs in the health vertical. Right Health right now is the #2 health site on the web after WebMD. We do around 11 million visits a month and around 7 million uniques. And we're looking to duplicate that success with the horizontal product, which you can sort of enter any topic all the way from Britney Spears to the theory of relativity on Kosmix.com.
44 seconds. Chris, you've seen a million pitches. Could he have done it better in 44 seconds? Could he have added more?
I think he's done a really, really good job here in terms of encapsulating what the business is about and then talking about the value proposition. Often in pitches, people talk about their technology and they forget to talk about why anyone would want to buy it. I think he also touches on the business model. I'd love to hear him go a little deeper on that, how they plan to make money. He does talk about the success of their past service and where he's going in the future. So he's put a lot in that short period of time, and I think he's done a fairly good job.
Yeah, I would take a second meeting with him.
I think the pitch is contextual to the audience. So to the extent that this is a pitch for an investment community, it's sort of one set of things you got to hit on. If it's for partners, it's another set of things. If it's for consumers, it's a third set of things. So I think he did a nice job in a generic sense, but my guess is it could be tweaked a little bit depending on which audience you were going after. But 45 seconds or a minute isn't a lot of time, so you got to really hit the 5 main points or 3 main points about what you do.
Okay, let's talk about the novelty. When you look at Kosmix, the first thing that pops out is sort of Wikipedia-esque type of search, type of service, but as I mentioned earlier, a well-crafted magazine about a topic. I like their approach.
Yeah, they came into the market at the time when vertical search was very popular, and their first site was a health site. I think they really did a smart thing by getting away from that terminology and starting to talk about the value of what they were delivering. It's very algorithmically driven, but it's presented as if it were a very contextualized magazine, to your point. So I think they've done a good job of, in their technology, of creating a tool or a platform on which these really rich information sites can be built relatively easily.
I generally don't like new search companies. I think we got cool, Search Me. There's new kinds of companies that basically have come along that have brought innovation and have yet to sort of really take off. There's been so much money put into new search technologies with really not a lot to show for it since sort of Google. This one, though, is actually pretty cool. It's a really, no pun intended, it's actually it has a really nice UI, has a good user experience. You log onto the site, you get interesting, compelling content presented to you, almost sort of Yahoo-esque when you first log in, and then you dig deeper and you enter something in, and it gives you a nice layout of video, text, images, multiple sources, e-commerce. There's just a lot they bring to you, and the results were pretty good. I was playing around searching sort of semi-mid-tail stuff yesterday, and the results were pretty good. So I actually think this one is, I have a little bit of hope for it.
Yeah, well, I think that to your point, a lot of the search technology, companies that were focusing on search, were really focusing on technology, and they were kind of putting their technology out as, here, this is going to be a better search tool. Right? And what they did, I think that was brilliant here, was to put the technology, to really put the effort into developing the technology, but then put so much more effort into the interface and the experience. So I wouldn't call Kosmix a search company at all. I'd call them an information presentation, discovery, exploration company. And the directions they're going, I think there will be places where you'll want to go to Google because that's going to give you the long tail of results. But for everyday use, when you're really looking at for the things that you're interested in, I think that this becomes, a homepage for a lot of people.
I think so for myself. I mean, and to your point about the different use cases, you wouldn't go into Kosmix and type in cab driver, taxi driver in San Francisco or New York City, but you would go into Kosmix and say recipes for chocolate chip cookies, because Kosmix would give you a nice sort of magazine way of looking at, here's a video about how to bake cookies, here's some great recipes for cookies, but you wouldn't go to Kosmix to find as a directory.
Right.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for the needle in the haystack, there are a lot of better solutions, but when you're looking to see the context and the contours of the haystack, I think that Kosmix gives you a really great result.
Venki says that it's about organization, it's not about relevance when it comes to Kosmix.
Now, the trick for them is they need a lot of traffic. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, a ton of traffic to make this model work. So they're going to have to figure out, how they build the traffic from the consumer, how they monetize that through ads. I mean, search is a great ad platform for delivering highly contextualized, relevant, act now type advertising. So there's a lot. I still think of it as search. It's presentation and it's discovery, but I still think of it generally as search. But they have that, which is great because it's great for advertising. I think that but you got to have they just got to figure out a way to get massive distribution.
Yeah, I think their advantage in the search and advertising business model is the taxonomy that they build behind every search, right? So that they're really bringing very contextual advertising together. But you're right, the advertising model really only works if you've got millions and millions of people. I think this is why we really still are in very much an experimentation stage in the ad market online anyway. It's a hard way to build a business. They're going to have to capture a lot of market share.
Well, here's the interesting thing. So their business model, sponsored widgets. It's sort of like sponsored listings, but it's sponsored widgets. So on one hand, I think that they can drive CPMs. They can get higher CPMs because topics, you can get higher CPMs for topics as opposed to keywords. But on the other hand, you can't really fit as many widgets, I suspect, for topics because there's just a limit.
And you got to reach all those folks. They got to implement their widget. They got to think about how to contextualize what you're doing.
Everybody's creating a widget for their site. Even we're doing it.
But everybody isn't a 20 million mom and pop small businesses that are advertising on Google. I mean, the reality is that everybody has to be a very, very large number. So these are not easy businesses to really, really scale. And my guess is they're going to play around with a number of different models before they get to the perfect model. And they may end up outsourcing a big chunk of that in many ways. Yeah,
I mean, to your point, Google works because it appeals to the long tail of the mom and pops who can do low-cost advertising. I think people forget that the M in CPM is about thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are actively engaged with the site. And whether it's a monetized widget or a presented ad, you still need to have that volume. So, I think their trick is going to be, how do we make this a brand in the consumer mind about information, discovery, information. Again, how does it become on everyone's homepage?
Yeah. So
because just to that point, the frequency rate on this site will be extremely high. People are going to burn through pages really fast, which is going to basically make them put them in the low bucket on a CPM standpoint, most likely, from a brand advertising display standpoint. So what they have to then, in my mind, do is either provide very contextual, at the end result, contextual premium ads at that point, but we don't know what all those are going to be, so it's hard to get a high hit rate there, or search ads.
So here's an interesting challenge for them. They probably need to do some marketing for Kosmix so they can drive up the traffic, but they're also, as Chris, they're launching MeHive, and yet another brand that they may have to try to promote. Maybe good timing, it's a great product, so we can talk about the product first, to also talk about whether it's a smart move to be launching another product.
Well, their history is to monetize to brand their front-end sites. They did that with the health site. They're now doing that with the general interest site with MeHive. So I think they need to put their brand energy behind MeHive, not Kosmix. Kosmix is the technology. It's sort of the holding company, if you will, of these sites. I think it's the brand MeHive that really will get the marketing energy.
What do you think of MeHive?
As a name?
Well, MeHive, so this is sort of personalized
as a site.
Personalized news.
Yeah. So I think it's a great name, which helps for their marketing. But I think it's a terrific site. I had the chance to sit with the team a few weeks ago and spend some time with the beta, and I really like it. To me, it is kind of a destination site in terms of my daily information consumption.
Yeah, it reminds me, I mean, we've had so many variations of news aggregators, and it also reminded me of Personal Bee. Do you remember Personal Bee? It was sort of your personal newspaper as well, and this was several years ago, and I don't remember why that was a challenge, but when you do use the site, the UI is great for MeHive. It's just really easy to create your own newspaper, and I don't know if they're going to listen to my advice, which was to give everybody the opportunity to name their newspaper. So I said I wanted mine to be called Bambi Times, so like Shipley News. I want my newspaper to look different than theirs, but that's an interesting point that you bring up, that you think that they should put their energy toward branding and promoting MeHive as opposed to Kosmix.
Yep.
So okay, so advice for the company?
What I think they do
words?
really well is user experience. I think that
Yes.
I think Yahoo would be well served to figure out a way to jump all over this company and pull them in, because these guys know how to present media, they know how to present news, they know how to integrate, they know how to do search. I think this company is very way out on the curve of understanding how to do that stuff.
Well, and I think the balance with that is that they're also really great engineers. The semantic work, the automatically generated taxonomies, all of the stuff that they're doing algorithmically that allow them to be a very efficient company is a rich technology. They're not leading with that, which I think is brilliant, because nobody buys technology, they buy a user experience.
Right.
And they've also got this team that blends the user experience. So, I think they're the full package.
All right.
Now, the trick is, though, they got to get, even with all of that, they still got to get a lot of traffic. So the trick is, how do you get all that traffic? Because they have the elements. Now, can they market
MeHive?
They need the Midas touch.
So, well, you know what? The audience is splintering when it comes to media and news, and they're looking for other avenues to find it, so they have an opportunity for sure. So clearly we like this company, all three of us. So,
I think
Chris,
there's a lot of promise here.
Chris, thank you very much. We're going to have you back on again. Ezra, of course, as always, thank you. You've been watching VatorBox. I'm Bambi Francisco. We'll see you next time on Vator TV.